Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Wedded Wednesdays with Pastor David Wright and Lady Janitha Wright. Today's topic is Help Me. I'm married to a musician.
Yes, you are.
You gonna talk?
Musicians don't talk.
Devil is a liar.
We play.
I see what kind of set this is gonna be today. So y'all get ready. Y'all get ready. So whenever you get ready to talk, the floor is open for you.
I'll talk when I get ready. I'm a musician. I do what I want when I want.
Really?
But for real, y'all, musicians are different kinds of people. And
different kind of creatures?
People.
Oh.
But as a musician, I can definitely say that whoever we are in a relationship, they have to exercise extreme patience with us. Because as a musician, a lot of times our music was always our first love. So our music gets in the way of our relationship. And if you're going to marry a musician, the first thing I would tell you, and this is, there are female musicians too that marry men that don't play, and there are men musicians that marry females that don't play, So let me first say, you got to understand the mindset of what a musician is. You got to understand their lifestyle. Musician, I'm not talking about somebody that play every now and then. I'm talking about a musician, two types of musicians, those that do it for fun and those that do it for a living. Mm-hmm. When you do it for a living, that wife, that husband, that spouse has to recognize that you're not out here just for fun. You're not out here just doing exercising your hobby. You're actually doing this so you can keep a roof over the head, keep food on the table. Now, if you just out there just plucking and playing and you got a regular job and that's your hobby, just playing around and stuff, that's different. But when you do it for your livelihood, you got to look at it, that spouse has to look at it as being a job. And musicians' hours are crazy. Musicians have late hours. It's almost, I would say, like a doctor. A doctor is on call. Doctors have beepers. Out of nowhere, they may have to go deliver a baby in the middle, different things, whatever the cases may be. But musicians, a lot of the times on the club scene, they are late nights, even in the church, late night rehearsals. Musicians got to be there after the rehearsals, band rehearsals, and all these different late night musicals, concerts, and all different kinds of things. And a wife or a husband, that spouse, has to be considerate and patient with a musician. And if I can say for me, and I have a daughter, and I hate to say it, I wouldn't want my daughter to marry a musician because the musicians we automatically got something, it's something automatically wrong with us.
They're crazy.
No, I didn't say crazy. You can't use words like crazy, but it's something different in the mindset of a musician. Our music is just, we got music in our mind almost 24/7. We count, music in our mind. I come from a family of musicians. My father was a musician. My brothers are musicians. I got brothers that tour all over the world. You got to be understanding of that because a musician, a real touring musician, can be gone from his house for up to 2 to 3 months on a tour. But that tour is going to put money in the household. So it's a huge difference from being a touring musician, a musician, and this is your lifestyle, and just a musician by hobby. Because folks that are musicians by hobby, you got to be careful with that because they'll spend $5,000 on a bass guitar and they don't even play bass good. You can't be doing that. You done took money out your household to help with your hobby. No. Now, if that $5,000 is going to pay for itself and bring money back into the household, that's a different story. And my wife, I'm not as much as a musician as I used to be. I used to be traveling with my dad, the late Reverend Timothy Wright, and we going on the road all the time. I'm pastoring now. So I'm more preaching and singing and stuff than a musician. So that part of my life it has ceased somewhat. But I used to be in the studios late nights doing R&B, doing hip hop, doing gospel, doing all kinds of different things, and it was hard.
Yeah.
Because my wife did not come from a family of musicians that did it for a livelihood, like I did. So I'm leaving the house. Okay, it's 8 o'clock at night. All right, I'll be back. I'm going to rehearsal. Rehearsal? What rehearsal going to be at 8 o'clock? Musicians rehearse late like that. And it's hard to understand when you're not in that lifestyle. So, and especially, let me talk to the ladies. Be careful. Don't marry a musician thinking you're going to change him and make him work a 9 to 5. Not if he's making, organists out here, and I'm going to talk about these organists. Organists get paid good money. Drummers get paid good, bass players, but a church organist get paid good money. You hear me? And that is their way of living. That's their way of life. And sometimes I see a lot of women marrying a organist and say, all right, you doing that now, but you going to work a 9 to 5. That really is his 9 to 5. Yeah. And you got to understand that. We call it 9 to 5, but for a musician, it ain't 9 to 5. Sometimes it's 5 to 12. Sometimes it's 8 to 10 or different things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And musicians sleep late. We don't get up to 12 o'clock sometimes. That's because we've been rehearsing and playing all night, doing recordings and studio sessions and different things like that. So you got to be patient with a musician. It takes a lot of patience to marry a musician. It takes a lot of patience. And my wife can talk on that because, go ahead, I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell them about the story when me and my father went out of town and we took you.
Oh my God, no, we're not going to tell that story.
I'm going to tell it.
No, you're not. But, woo.
I ain't going to tell all of it, but I'm going to tell the
Listen,
majority of it.
Yeah, I struggled with it, like my husband said before, because I didn't understand the flow of it all. So I didn't understand. I didn't know what a midnight musical. What are y'all doing? I'm from the South. We know everything shuts down at a certain time. There were no midnight.
Country folk don't have midnight musicals down south.
Listen, no. So
if you in New York, you have midnight musicals.
It was a whole new world for me. It was a whole new world. So some of it I didn't understand. And once I experienced a midnight musical, I was tired. I was sleepy. I got irritable. I got frustrated. I'm like, what in the world is this? Do these people not know what time it is? Like, what is going on? I'm like, and these things used to happen almost every weekend. Almost every weekend. And I'm telling you, I started getting irritated. I started not to like the whole scene of it. I just started not to like it. But as time and the years went by and I started to gravitate more to it. I started to understand it. My late father-in-law would even take me on the road so I could experience it. And before even getting to that place, my father-in-law started doing that. He started
while we were dating. And the wisdom of my father, the late Reverend Timothy Wright, he knew I was getting married and we were engaged. And he said, Davey, I want you to take her on the road with us so she can see what it is you do. Yeah. Because me and my father would go on the road. I was with him all the time. So 3 or 4 days out of the week, we out of town somewhere doing a revival in Texas, Chicago, Miami, wherever we are. Yeah. So he took her and she flew to New York and she got on the plane with us, went to the hotel. She stayed in her own room. We got our own room. Yes. Because we didn't stay together because we weren't married. Right. All right. But, and she went to the concert, went to the revival, went to the different things, the workshops, so she can get a sense of what it is I do. Yeah. So in order to effectively be married to a musician, you got to understand it before you get into it. Yeah. And that's what my father did with my wife, with my fiance at the time. Mm-hmm. And she actually got a glimpse of what it is that a musician does, because he experienced it in his marriage, married my mom, and he was a musician for years, playing for Washington Temple, Bishop F.D. Washington, doing records and all that stuff. So it can be trying, and we're going to be real with it, because a lot of church musicians, you know what, I'm not going to limit it to church musicians,
right. No,
but musicians in general,
Mm-hmm.
we tend to be magnets for groupies, females, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Males and different things. As a female musician, males and all that stuff. You got all kinds of things coming at you. But it takes maturity to be a married musician, because you can see all of that stuff out there and know that ain't nothing worth losing what you got at home.
Right.
So you got to trust your musician husband, or trust your musician wife, that no matter what groupies come their way, what they see out there, what they're trying to, because everybody loves the musicians.
Yeah.
I've seen some musicians, I know one musician personally, he smells so bad you can smell his breath over the phone. Hello? Is that you? Yes, it is you. I know, I smell it. But it never stopped him from getting a woman, because the woman didn't care what was wrong with him. He can play. So we got to be careful with that as married musicians. You got to know that what you got at home is worth more than anything that you have out there. Nothing compares to it. And when you had that, when that wife or that husband had that trust in you, you can play all over the place, and she know you coming back home, because you ain't stupid enough to ruin your life.
Wow. I'm still stuck on this other stuff that you just went. Whew, you went.
Okay, because I talk about what nobody want to talk about. Y'all done seen it. Y'all done seen some of these musicians. Like, how in the world did he get her? Or what?
Like I'm going right now. How in the world did you get there?
I got there because nobody want to talk about that stuff.
Oh my God, John.
I mean, his breath's so bad, he went to the hospital.
You still gonna go?
They had to give him a Listerine IV.
You still gonna go? Oh. Really? Really, John?
Pepe Le Pew. But he had a woman because he can play.
God help me. Help me, Lord.
So musicians have that pressure. But if you have a good thing at home, none of that stuff you see out there even matters. None of it even matters.
But even to go a little bit further with that whole situation, a lot of time you gotta know. I mean, even if you're marrying or you're entering into a relationship or marriage with a musician, listen, know who you are. You can't be insecure. You can't be a tyrant, you know, in the whole matter of the situation, because a lot of times I know, even when I couldn't understand it or whatever the case may be, and there were maybe a couple of times because I didn't understand it that I would go after him. And as far as, let me be clear, as far as me being tired, when I get tired or I get hungry, I become a whole nother kind of beast. Cause like, really, dude, have you forgotten that? Okay, we have been at this thing since 8 o'clock this morning, and it is now going on 7 o'clock at night. I have not eaten all day. Like, you just gonna keep playing on these instruments like you don't know this? Like, you know, I would come at him like, okay, now wrap it up. It's time to go. Like, enough is enough already. But at the same time, he would already feel my energy. He would look out at me and he would already feel my energy. So, but a lot of times that would distract him.
Yes.
And you want to be mindful of that, especially musician, as my husband was an organist. So he carries the bulk of the services and stuff like that. And, you know, organists and stuff like that, they carry services. They are fighting all kinds of spirits in the atmosphere. You know, we just know what the job of an organist entails, without taking away from what the other instruments and the other musicians are doing. But as for him, I knew how important it was to make sure that he wasn't distracted. But there were some times that that went out the window for me, because now I'm irritable and I'm upset because why I'm hungry. I can't function. I can't think straight or whatever. And I just wanted what I wanted, in those moments. And he would look out there and I would roll my eyes at him, or I would give him some nasty
Take me
energy.
right out of warfare.
Yeah. And it takes growth. I had to grow in those, areas. It didn't, right. But I learned once I really learned, how serious it was and his job and what he was doing, I shifted that. But to shift from out of that, know who you are, because you can't attack every silly head that comes in your husband's face. I experienced a lot of silliness. I experienced, and let me be, if I can be honest, I wanted to punch many of them in their faces, because being a southerner, it's just cordial. If you see this man standing with his wife, and if you're going to walk up, the right and proper thing for you to do is to just not come and just embrace him and you're all over him and you're just talking to him and you never acknowledge his wife. Y'all silly women, y'all need to stop that nonsense. Y'all still doing it. I still see y'all doing it with other other upcoming musicians and those that are engaged and those that are recently married. I see y'all silliness or whatever the case may be. And thanks be to God that he shielded me and shielded my hands from a lot of y'all, because y'all should have been punched in y'all faces. But I let it, thanks be to God, he saved y'all. But let me tell y'all something, but for real, y'all gotta stop this nonsense. So you see these men with their wives, no, don't hold my leg now. You see these men with their wives, you do not come and you embrace him and you're all over him and you not once acknowledge his wife. Y'all stop doing that. It's ugly. It's tacky. Have some moral sense and be respectful. Respect his wife. And that's vice versa, even the other way around.
And I'm going to tap in on that.
Yeah, it's ugly.
It's also the musician's responsibility.
It is.
The husband's responsibility. They hug you, they whatever. And your wife next to you, do you know my wife? This is my wife. This is my wife right here. This is my wife, Lady G. This is my wife, Janita. This is my wife, whatever. Introduce them right then and there. And then that kills a lot of the in-between foolishness.
That's good. And I get that. And yes, it's good to welcome that at some point. But you ought to have some type of morality for you ought to have some common sense. Like some of them, I question who raised you. Like, whoa, how can you, like I'm saying, where does the morals and character stand up in you to where you can just walk up in any given case and just not acknowledge people that you're around? I think it's just so tacky and it's so ugly. And it was a pet peeve back then, but I thank God for my mother-in-law, co-pastor Betty Wright, who actually would talk to me and, and help me to look, don't hold it, don't try to hold that. Don't pay it no mind. They just crazy like that, and it's gonna be a lot of that or whatever. At that young and tender age that I was in, I didn't want to hear that. And because I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna keep letting these, these whatever they are, I'm not gonna keep letting them be disrespectful like that. It's like, come on, where's your your moral sense to know that if you're going to walk up and these men are married, and you just walk up and you just act like that, and you never even look at them, you never even acknowledge their significant other. I think we gotta do better. Let's do better and stop doing stuff like that. Because when you do stuff like that, you open up an eye, and now the wife is looking at you like, okay, now you got an agenda. There's a spirit upon you, and now I marked you because I know who you are. But I thank God, because there were so many more that would embrace me. There were so many more that would love on me, and that would love on me before even going to my husband. There were so many relationships and so many friendships that and meeting people that I began to love about the whole scene of it all. But when those moments would come, these women don't even know how you make things so uncomfortable, and then the next thing you want to say is, oh, the woman is, oh, she's insecure. You want to throw out the insecure card. You want to throw out all of these cards on her when
it's just respect.
Yes, it's just a respect. It's a respect thing. Respect these men, respect their wives, respect their significant others. If they're dating someone, respect the relationship. Give them a chance to try to see what direction they want to go in. If you move out of the way and stop trying to interfere and stop trying to mark, they're not your territory. Let me make that clear. These men are not your territory. Get somewhere and sit down somewhere and allow them to create and make their own path and see. Y'all don't give these dudes time enough to see if their relationship's gonna work, because you too busy trying to tear them down. You too busy trying to sneak your way in the midst of it. You too busy trying to be conniving and so nasty. Move out of the way and stop this nonsense. I'm trying to tell y'all something. I want to just teach you a little something here, because y'all got to stop this nonsense. And a lot of y'all do it. Y'all do this stuff intentionally. Y'all know what y'all doing. Y'all stop doing that kind of stuff, that nonsense, because let me tell you something. Them tables do turn, and there's going to come a day and a time to where you're going to find yourself feeling somebody. You're going to find yourself in love with somebody. You're going to find yourself, really connected to somebody, and them tables going to turn, and you're going to reap what you sow. So start making sure that you're watering your ground the right way. Make sure that you're doing and you're treating people the way that you would want to be treated if you were in the same position that they were in. We got to learn how to stop doing these kind of things to our sisters and stuff like that. Stop trying to ease and be conniving and plotting and scheming and trying to move up on something that don't even belong to you. He don't belong to you. Stop marking the territory. That's not your territory. Learn how to respect these women. Respect them in the places that they're in. And when God blesses you with somebody, you'll get that same energy that you spew out when you were in your singleness. That same energy will come back to you.
And what I want to say about that, a fan is short for fanatic. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times in that fanatic kind of thing, you kind of forget everything around you, and you focus on who you are a fan of. And I've seen plenty of time with my mom and my dad, my mom and my dad, walking in conventions and different things. And to some of the people in the Church of God in Christ, my father was a superstar. So when they would see him, oh my God, Timothy Wright, they would go right at him. Can I take a picture? Hold my baby. All of these different things. My mom, because she's been matured and she's been in this for so long.
But I didn't understand it. Remember I used to come at you?
Yeah.
It used to drive me. Oh, I used to get so mad. Like really? Like for real? She's standing right here. Like, what y'all doing? Like, come on. They never acknowledged her.
They would get so hyped over meeting Timothy Wright. They would forget anybody that was around him and focus right on him. And that is the fandom of people. It happens. Now, I'm talking about the musician aspect, because in a church, musicians are looked at as superstars. They are looked at as the highlight of the service. So we got a lot of musicians. You got to be careful with that, musicians. Listen to me. You ain't no superstar. Just a couple of folks know you, and you can hit a couple of chords, play a couple of notes. You ain't no superstar, because when you get that superstar mentality, you think you are above everything else. No. You still got to, if you got a wife that you got to be accountable to.
Right.
So, and for the fans that come, they just see what they want. They want to take a picture, they want to hug, and the wife is mature enough to just, it ain't nothing there, whatever, that ain't nothing. That's just how it is. But that musician has to always, I like what Kirk Franklin does it all the time. His wife is not always with him, but when his wife is with him, they hand in hand.
Right.
And when they hand in hand, you have no choice but to acknowledge her. If you're gonna take a picture with him, you're taking it with him and her. And me and my wife, most of the time when you see me at a concert or something, you're gonna see me with my wife. It's very rare that I'm at a concert or something without my wife. And I'm not just a musician now, I'm an artist now, I'm a preacher now. But when I was a musician, if my wife is with me and you try to acknowledge me and don't say anything to her, I'm going to try my best to give some attention towards her. So whatever your agenda was,
I just mark you.
yeah,
I mark you. Because when you do it, once they do it, I stay in my place.
I'm going to tell you what this lady did.
And I stay reserved, but I mark you.
This woman right here, it was about 2 years ago. We was at a convocation or something. And the lady had to be 70-something years old. Maybe 80.
So she should know better.
Okay.
Good and better.
She said, Pastor Ryan, he looks just like your father. Come here. Yeah, all right.
Me. All of that.
And then she said, what she said?
Old ladies can get punched. They can get these hands too. They can catch these hands too.
Okay. So this has been another episode of Wedded Wednesday.
You can close it out, but I still stand on what I just said.
So I hope we helped some of you married musicians and women that are married to musicians, husbands that are married to musicians. Hope we were able to help you and shed some light on it. We've been in it for 20 years.
Yeah.
And we've seen it all.
Yes.
And remember to tune in on Wedded Wednesdays. We on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Remember to put your comments on the bottom and subscribe to our YouTube account.
Yes.
And we'll see y'all again next time. Love y'all.
Wedded Wednesdays.
Peace.